The Bad Boys podcast is brought to you by Iconic Motor House, the guys making your motoring fantasies a reality. Visit iconicmotorhouse.com. Today on the show, racism goes rampant in Australia and the US.
The official announcement of the band that has made the greatest contribution to Oz music this year. Wait for it.
And what is wrong with people as mask madness and angry boxers go on a rampage.
All that and more on the Bad Boys podcast. If you want the hard-hitting journalism of Four Corners, the reliable current affairs of, well, a current affair, and the planning that goes into classy shows like The Project, then you've tuned into the wrong podcast. It's comedy, entertainment, celebrity interviews, and news stories that makes Fox News sound like an episode of The Muppets. Or maybe it's the other way around. Conversations no one wants to have, but everyone wants to hear. This is the Bad Boys Podcast. Welcome to the Bad Boys Podcast for another Saturday, and we have some interesting stories as usual to talk about, haven't we, Andrew?
We always do, mate. Always do.
But before we do, can we just stop the music? Can you just press stop on the music there for us? Okay.
Yep.
Just before the show, you recorded something which we can only describe as fuck off Pauline Hanson. And I think maybe we should just play this and then we can have a talk about it afterwards, because it's a pretty serious topic.
The Bad Boys wish to offer our deepest respect as we honour all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander elders from the past, the present and the future. We acknowledge the stories, traditions and living cultures of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples on this land and commit to building a brighter future together. The Bad Boys heard during the week that one of Australia's senators, Pauline Hanson, has been quoted as saying that she is very tired of being left out of the welcome to her own country. Pauline, there's a very good reason for that. It's not your fucking country. The Indigenous First Nation people did welcome your ancestors of white European settlement when they arrived in this country. In fact, they danced and celebrated and offered them food. The white European settlers responded to this beautiful gesture with 170 years of rape, murder and genocide, and a cultural genocide that still happens to this day, 230 plus years later. Your clearly racist beliefs are not welcome in this country. Your ill-informed judgments are not welcome in this country. And your so-called bigoted leadership is not welcome in this country. This is why we don't welcome you to this country, because you're not welcome here with your racist, bigoted ways. We perform the welcome to country as a very small token of what should be part of a very large gesture to try and right the wrongs of generations of indifference, judgment and violence perpetrated upon the traditional owners and occupiers of this land that we call Australia. Pauline Hanson, you will never be welcome to this country, not with that racist attitude you hold so proudly within your troubled and darkened heart. You are the reason why this problem still exists, and until you realise you have nothing to offer on this matter, you will never be heard and you will continue to be irrelevant. This country belongs to the Indigenous First Nation people, not you. White European British settlers invaded this country and raped and murdered the people that were already here. Your carry-on is typical of all parliamentarians who try to make everything about them. This is not and never will be about you. It is rightly so about them. So you don't like the welcome to country? Then fuck you, Pauline Hanson, because nobody asked you.
So, Andrew, wow, that was hard-hitting, man. Hard-hitting.
Man, I'm sick of it. I'm so sick of it.
Yeah.
Like politicians carrying on because they're feeling left out and all this sort of stuff. You know what? This has never been about Pauline Hanson. Yet she wants to make it all about her. If her life's so bloody hard, maybe she should put herself in the shoes of any Indigenous First Nation person for a day, just a fucking day. And then she might realise how just annoying her white fucking privilege is. I'm sick of it.
So, but isn't this like just so typical of her? I mean, like she's done this before, and I mean, yet we still give her a voice, and yet again she just comes back on and just hits it again. Like, seriously.
Prime example of a leopard can't change its spots. She has been racist to the core since she first came onto the call it the political platform. And she used to target Muslims and Asians and our Indigenous First Nation people and stuff like it was some sort of sport.
Yeah.
And now she's a senator. She thinks she actually has a voice. Well, every time she opens her mouth, she becomes more and more irrelevant as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, she totally does. And that's one of the reasons why we talked about having her on the show a year ago, longer, in fact. And we chose not to simply because we just don't – you never know what she's going to say. And, sure, we can edit things out and all that sort of stuff, but why put ourselves through that?
Yeah, like why offer our platform up for her racist viewpoints as well? Yeah. I mean, yes, we could also use it as a way to rebut her, to argue against her, but people like that, they just don't – they're not capable of seeing an alternative viewpoint. They're seriously not capable. They have their viewpoint and that's it, and everybody else is wrong.
Well, we went back to her team and said, look, you know what? Yes, we're happy to have her on the show, but as long as we can also bring on one of the people that we want on the show as well. Like I think at the time we were thinking about Dwayne from Secret Men's Business and Bring Back the Warrior, and Dwayne has an Indigenous heritage, and I think I don't know about you. I would have loved to have let Dwayne loose on Pauline Hanson. I think that would have been a brilliant show because he would have just given it to her.
Absolutely. He's intelligent, he's articulate, he understands his argument, he gives people a chance to speak their point of view.
Yeah.
Quite a remarkable man, really, and he would have left her for dead, no doubt.
So just to go back, for those who haven't heard about this, right, is that she was literally quoted as being very tired of being left out of the welcome to her own country.
Yeah. So she's complaining because it's becoming common practice nowadays, which is a gesture of doing the welcome to country when you're giving presentations, holding meetings, all these different things. And it's about offering respect to the people whose land was taken from them, effectively.
See, I don't believe we should even be giving a welcome to country ourselves as white people. I think we should be bringing Indigenous people into whatever equation or wherever we are doing that and letting them do the welcome to country.
Look, I don't disagree with that. I understand why people with a white European heritage do that because it is their way of showing respect. It is considered to be a very politically correct way of doing it. And I respect them for wanting to do that because the alternative is, you're right, the better alternative would be to have, in my opinion, an Indigenous troupe or mob come in and do their dance and welcome us into their space, which is something they tried to do centuries ago. And they were successful in doing it. It's just the response. And even the old diaries of those first European settlers, those diaries clearly stated that there were these, they didn't call them first, they called them Aborigines. They were there and they were dancing and they were welcoming and all that sort of stuff. And in those diaries, it clearly said in multiple different ones from different people, these guys will be so easy to subjugate and control.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if that upsets Pauline Hanson, but honestly, I think probably the hardest thing she has ever had to experience is someone objecting to her viewpoints. She hasn't experienced the cultural rape, genocide of all of her people like the Indigenous First Nation people have. And to be quite honest with you, she needs to keep her mouth shut.
Yeah.
End of story.
Yeah, and look, this is actually a very common thing that is happening around the world, not just not just in Australia, but around the world. Now, last week we talked about the issues that are happening in Florida right now within the LGBTQ community, and the Republicans have come in and they've just put a law out so it is now illegal to talk about that, talk about LGBT ideals in schools for grade 3 and under. Okay, so we talked about that last week, and it's become a bit of a thing. This week, they've taken it a step further. And the Florida Education Department, under the new laws, right, have rejected 54 mathematic textbooks, citing references to what they call what is known as critical race theory. Now, critical race theory, quite simply, is this. It is a way of understanding how America or any other country, how American racism has shaped public policy. Okay, it's a divisive discourse that pits people of color against white people. This is what they're saying. It's disruptive. It makes it look like them and us. But in actual fact, what it's actually doing is it's stopping people who are it's stopping history people, for example. Right? They can never talk about Black Lives Matter. They can never talk about LGBT, communities. They can never talk about civil rights issues. They can never talk about anything relating to any history other than the white ideals.
Wow, that is a very, very dangerous and very slippery slope to be going down. That level of censorship.
Yes.
Is extraordinary. Now, I'd just like to say that level of censorship has existed in Australia for centuries as well.
Yes, it has.
Only recently are kids in school learning anything about Aboriginal culture, and even then it is a very small percentage of the overall history, because the true stories of genocide and rape of an entire culture is not being taught. So much so, I remember being on the Secret Men's Business show talking to Dwayne, and there was one particular episode where I had a massive aha moment. And that aha moment was the realization that this, I had this thought: white fellas had arrived at the shore, and then they went through and wiped all the Indigenous people out. What I didn't know is it actually took them some 170, 180 years to transverse Australia as part of that wipeout campaign. So there are still generations walking around and living in Australia that have had to deal with that genocidal act firsthand. Yeah. If that happened to your grandparents or your parents in the way it has to Indigenous First Nation people, I'm telling you, your attitude towards this, not you personally, but to anybody's attitude towards this, would be very, very, very different, as it would for me. Yeah. It's a funny... People were talking about the war crimes going on in Ukraine perpetrated by Russia and all that sort of stuff. And it was a very interesting thought process that was going on within me, because I suddenly had this thought, far out, if someone came in and shot my wife or raped my wife and shot my children, or worse still, what's been happening, basically tying grenades to them and stuff and blowing them up in their own homes, if I had to witness that or knew that was happening and stuff like that, I'm sorry, there isn't a Geneva Convention, there isn't a war rule that would stop me from the wholesale slaughter of any Russian I could possibly get my hands on.
That's true.
I honestly think, genuinely overnight, I'd turn into a monster.
But this is the whole problem, right? Because the view of the government in wanting to remove this critical race theory, they don't want black and white people turning on each other. So let's not talk about it, right? Let's actually not go down that path. Let's not remind people who are black that they had to go through all of this oppression for so many years and that they were victimized, right? Because and let's not actually talk about the fact that United States was founded on racism, right? Or that Australia was founded on racism. Let's not talk about that, because that reminds the minority groups that they actually, had to go through so much oppression to get to where they are now. Now,
right,
you would feel angry. Yes, you would. Okay, maybe years back, but in history, you may not feel as angry. But I'll tell you what, there's a lot of Indigenous people in Australia who are still hurting because of it.
Yeah.
Now,
in a big way,
in a massive way. Now, let's take this one step further. A couple of years ago, the whole cancel culture started, right? You can't say this, you can't say that, you can't say the N word, you can't, you know what I mean? Now with
yes, yeah, totally get it.
Right
yep.
now with this and removing critical race theory and not talking about these things, not teaching our kids about these things, guess what that does? That removes cancel culture.
Yep.
In a big way. This is the Republicans who are going, you know what? We want to make America white again. And not homosexual.
Right. And look, that's all part of one person's values being forced upon another. And this is the big issue I've got with the likes of Pauline Hanson and Australian politics and all that sort of stuff. If anybody else said what she said, anybody else, a TV show host, a radio host, I don't know, an author, a person in an office, a person standing by the side of the road,
they'd lose their job.
Right. They'd be cancelled. So why aren't we cancelling politicians for this?
I reckon we should cancel Pauline Hanson. Cancel Hanson.
I think she should be bloody cancelled as well. But, the other side of the argument is to what extent do you stifle that type of discussion and the opposing views? I've always been, and look, I love Elon Musk's idea of true free speech, not shutting down any viewpoint. And I think that's the right thing to go. Part of the issue is people get, offended by another person's viewpoint. Well, you know what? The offence is not actually created by the other person. The offence is created within yourself. Like I'm offended by Pauline Hanson and her viewpoints.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that mean she shouldn't be allowed to say it? Look, I don't know.
I don't
Maybe
think
she should be allowed to say it, and the rest of it shouldn't be so easy to offend.
No, she shouldn't be allowed to say that when
because she made it about her. That's
she made
the
it
issue
about
I
her.
had.
Like, welcome to
Nobody
my country. I mean, seriously. Maybe she should be given a country of her own.
Welcome to Ipswich Fish and Chip Shop.
Well,
yeah,
look,
right.
this is a much bigger issue, and it's an issue that is, I know we've talked about Australia and America. It is happening everywhere around the world, everywhere, and it's been happening without our knowing for quite a while. So at mid-May last year, there was legislation in America that was being put in place, a bill that was being put in place purporting to outlaw critical race thinking in schools within Idaho, Iowa, Oklahoma, Tennessee. Now, hey, I might be wrong, but aren't they the southern states where they originally allowed, black slavery?
Lynchings.
Yeah, exactly
lynchings.
right.
In fact, I think it was probably pretty recent. There's something about living near the tropics. Like there really is. There's something about living near the tropics that I think makes people crazy. So in the same way that I think they only just recently outlawed the lynchings of black people in some of those southern states. It was only 25 years ago or something like that.
I can't even fathom that.
That Australia, right, but it was only 25 years ago that Australia changed the law that it made it legal in Queensland to beat your wife if she said the wrong thing.
God.
Again, it's up towards the tropics.
But see, this is the thing, right? The bills that get passed through government are vaguely written, right? So that it's quite unclear, right? But but being inherently vague and purposefully vague, it allows them to then take a next step and a next step. So now what is happening is in the school, because of these laws that have been passed, you can't talk about the establishment of Jim Crow. You can't talk about the series of laws that prevented black Americans from voting. You can't talk about the separation between black and white in public spaces, because if a teacher does, they are considered in violation of the law and can get arrested. Now, what the fuck are we doing as a society? This is a backward step.
And we wonder why our younger generations are growing up bloody ignorant.
Oh, exactly. So let's revise the Australian and the American racist past. Okay, let's change our history because that never existed. You know, let's actually say that that when the English settlers came to Australia, the Indigenous folk just said, you know what, we're going to just take our land because we're all one here. Let's change our history to that because you know what, it's easier for us and we don't feel guilty about it anymore.
Yeah, look, there are so many things that are wrong with this country, and personally I think it all relates back to the attitudes that come from the wrong history being educated.
Yeah. You know, I believe that we need every kid to be taught. I mean, in Germany, their kids, primary school, are taught about the Holocaust. They are taught about what Germany did to the Jewish population.
Yeah,
they're not saying they're not holding back. You know, let's not talk about that part of history. No, let's actually talk about and I think back to the 70s when I was a kid in school, in primary school, and I don't remember. You remember the project packs that you used to get from the newsagent to do a project on Australian settlement, right? And it would always have like these really dodgy pictures of the Aborigines standing there, you know, with sort of like one standing on one leg and the other leg sort of against their knee,
that's right.
You know,
sitting on their knee.
It's just like seriously, this is what we fed our kids. Let's not take a step back to that.
It's tragic, isn't it? Really,
it is.
So many lessons to be learned.
So yeah, thank you for bringing this up and letting us talk about this. I think it was definitely worth chatting about.
I had to, mate.
Yeah.
I had to. I just I went into a rage when I first heard that, and I just thought I've got to address it.
Yeah. So we will be back with the bad boys and some rather interesting conversations, as always, right after this.
If you like your nuts being gently cupped by an angel, then Man Up Down Under are the duds for you. Environmentally friendly with bamboo inserts that are soft, strong, and lifts your weight with ease. Longer in the legs so they stay put. They are cool in summer and warmer when it matters. Man Up Down Under, underwear your girl will want to see you in that you won't want to take off. Go to manupdownunder.com.au and buy a week's supply for your package because your junk deserves the best.
This is the Bad Boys Podcast. Welcome back to the Bad Boys Podcast. And now, Andrew.
Yeah.
Let's shift gears a little bit because I was eating my ice cream the other night and you sent me a message and said, I bet you're glad that you're not eating that in America. And I said, why? And you said, because ice cream comes from beaver ass juice.
Yeah, it does. It's a product they call castoreum. And effectively, it
Even that sounds
coming
bad.
from the anal glands of beavers.
Oh.
Anal excretions from beavers has a very strong vanilla taste. Now, can I just say something, mate? You talked about it only happening in America. I'm sorry to tell you that it doesn't just happen in America.
No.
Castoreum is used as a vanilla flavouring in an extraordinarily large number of products.
Oh, no. Oh, my God.
So it's called beaver milking.
Now,
Yeah.
Now, hang on a sec. Everyone with a dog right now is gagging.
Okay, I was hoping you would go there. That's good. It's a good analogy. I remember we were young. When we were young, we had a Basset, and the Basset was called Flop because she had floppy ears.
Right.
She was fabulous. She lived to a ripe old age, but we had to, in her later years, had to take her to the vet. And he was a remarkable vet, a gentleman by the name of Peter Burgess, a beautiful man who also lived to a ripe old age helping animals. Anyway, he used to dread us bringing Flop into the vet because she needed to have her anal glands drained, which they do by squeezing them.
Oh.
Now, as you can imagine, the poor dog didn't want it done either. However, it needed to happen. And I've got to say, I'm really glad, in fact, that they do not put the anal excretions from dogs into ice cream because it might be difficult to smell because that smells like shit.
Okay, so our Moodle Lani needs to get her anal glands done, right? And I mentioned this at a dinner party one night because, as you do. Because,
yeah, absolutely. That is a good dinner
bring
time
that up
conversation.
at the dinner party. And one of the girls at the dinner party, so she has it's almost like a cross between a Labrador and a Great Dane. Like it's a massive dog. And she goes, "Oh, I don't take mine to the vet. I do it myself."
Oh, yowzers.
Oh, and would you like some more food that I prepared?
Oh, my God.
I'm like,
does she have one of those weird fetish OnlyFans pages?
I don't know. Oh my God!
Because there's got to be some weird fucked up people in the world that enjoy that type of thing.
She gets her gloves, right? She puts rubber gloves on as you would want to, right? Because that smell would just linger, I reckon. Yeah,
rubber gloves and a full PPE outfit as well, because that shit can squirt all over the room too.
Wow.
If they're built up, if they're clogged up and stuff like that, that can be quite explosive.
It reminds me of that meme. I don't know whether you've seen it with the lady with the dog, and she's like, lifts up the tail and goes, "Oh, you're a bit clogged up," and the next minute the dog just shits everywhere all over the lady. My son brought it down. He comes downstairs and says, "Have a look at this." It was the funniest. And I just think, there could be nothing worse in life. Like you could think of any job, even a garbage collector, even working at a sewage factory, nothing worse than squeezing your dog's anal glands. Except,
well, as it turns out, milking a beaver isn't worse because it has this lovely vanilla scent.
Right, so
I'm not too sure how the beaver feels about it.
I was going to say, what do they hold it up by the beaver tail and just sort of what do they put under the arm and just squeeze it?
Beavers, yeah, squeeze it like bagpipes or something like that. I wonder if you grabbed a kazoo and stuck it in there, whether you get a good tune happening.
Meanwhile, all the vegans are just sort of going to the pit, and Peter are going, "Quick, cancel Bad Boys."
Right. They're advocating the idea of milking beavers
and eating it.
Yowzers. And just for the record, ladies and gentlemen, I just thought I'd add this in here to save your algorithms. Don't Google milking beavers. You'll end up on Pornhub, and trust me, that shit's nasty.
Oh no.
Oh, yeah. And certainly do not, under any circumstances, Google milking hairy beavers.
Or angry beavers.
Or angry beavers, that's right, yeah.
Oh, there's so many places we could go with this.
Oh, yeah, we've been most of the places, but yes, you've got to draw a line somewhere, don't you? Fortunately, we don't draw lines on the show.
It reminds me, right, of that cartoon. I'm sure the Angry Beaver cartoon, the guy that created that knew exactly what he was doing. It's like, I'm going to create a cartoon for the kids called The Angry Beaver, and every adult is going to know exactly what we're talking about here.
Right. Yeah. I think there was one of those scenes where the angry beaver comes out and says, "What do you mean you haven't emptied the dishwasher?" We've all heard that before.
Now moving right along, I've got another topic that is close to home because of my love of music, and quite frankly, I'm a little bit appalled, I have to say, about this news.
Okay.
So the Ted Albert Award for Outstanding Services to Australian Music. It gets awarded at the APRA Music Awards every year, and this year they're being held in Melbourne at the Melbourne Town Hall on the 3rd of May. Previous recipients of the award include Helen Reddy, The Seekers, Midnight Oil, Michael Gudinski, Ian Molly Meldrum, Slim Dusty, Paul Kelly, AC/DC, and this year, The Wiggles.
Oh, I knew it. I knew you were going to say The Wiggles. Yowzers.
What the actual fuck?
Good old Dorothy
Seriously?
the dinosaur and Captain Feathersword makes it big.
Look, I got to say, I know Murray and Jeff might be pretty excited and all. So I've got a little bit of an announcement here, a little bit of a thank you by Murray Cook and Jeff Fatt. So I'm just going to play that now, and we'll have a quick listen to it.
Hi everyone, I'm Murray.
And I'm Jeff.
And we're from The Wiggles, and we're very proud APRA AMCOS members. And we're super thrilled, Jeff. Why are we thrilled?
Well, we're receiving the Ted Albert Award for contribution to Australian music.
Yeah. And we're joining lots of great people, such as Midnight Oil.
Yeah, Joy McKean, The Seekers, and Helen Reddy. That's pretty amazing.
An award like this means so much to us because everything we do is based on songs, and to get an award for songwriting, especially an amazing award like this, makes us very proud and quite humble. And we'd just like to thank APRA for this fantastic award.
Yeah, look, okay, they have added a lot to the music industry. I mean, even before they became the Wiggles and stuff like that, they were already doing great things. And, music's music. They've introduced music to millions of children worldwide, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of children worldwide. And it's good, it's light, it's fun. I didn't agree with them getting the top place in the top 100, Triple J's top 100. But look, really, why not? Why can't they be recognised for all of the good work that they've been doing and stuff? They have dedicated their life to music in Australia, no question about it.
Yeah, so I'm of two minds. I mean, look, there are some amazing people who have dedicated their lives to the music industry, and
yeah.
And especially during this time, when things sort of went south, with the whole COVID thing and musicians not being able to do anything, these guys still stuck to it. I mean, we hear stories about guys like Angry Anderson that, because of what happened, had to go out and, get a day job. I mean, like, that's unheard of. You wouldn't even want to think about that fact. But the reality is most musicians are doing it right now, especially in Australia, because of the love of it. The Wiggles, however, are a corporation that are very, very, very well off. And,
Right.
That's
that
my only
make their
concern.
contribution any less.
No, it doesn't. No, you're right. No, you're right.
I mean, yes, they haven't done it hard lately, but they did do it hard in the first half of their career.
Yeah, they did.
Like everybody else.
Yeah, they did.
They just found a solution, that's all.
Yeah.
And it was a solution that, as it turned out, everybody kind of liked.
Well, everybody under 7 liked. Let's not be too vague about it. I mean, let's be honest, right? And the ones that...
One thing I'd like to know is when they go to award shows and they turn up to the red carpet, do they arrive in the big red car?
No, but they always go like that.
So with their bloody fingers flapping around and stuff like that. God, that used to annoy me.
Oh, God. I actually had a friend that rocked up one day at a party, and he was literally wearing a blue skivvy, and it's like, dude, you're dressed as a Wiggle. He went, what do you mean? I said, you're wearing a blue skivvy. You can't wear a blue skivvy out in public. You look like a Wiggle,
Was he always falling asleep at the show, at the party?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. No,
Was his
it the
name Jeff?
No, Jeff was the Jeff was Jeff was the blue wiggle, wasn't he? Yes.
I think he was. Oh, fuck, I don't know.
Or he was the purple wiggle.
I just
He was the
remember
purple
Wake Up
wiggle.
Jeff.
So anyway, there you go. They're the recipients this year. Good on them. Now, hey, also during the week, I received a message from a friend of mine who I hadn't heard from for a while, and we kind of knew she was traveling around Australia. She said, "I need help with my website, and I'm wondering if you can help me with it." And I said, "Yeah, sure." She said, "I'm working for this company." I went, "Where are you?" 50 kilometres from the border of Northern Territory on the Queensland side. And I went, okay, so I was sort of thinking it was down, sort of long reach out that way, you know. She went, "Oh, no, I'm about 150 kilometres above Mount Isa." And my brain's trying to figure it out, right?
Literally in the middle of nowhere.
Literally the middle of nowhere. Now, the name of
How
the
did she
place.
get mobile reception? Was she calling from a landline?
No. Apparently they have mobile reception at this point. However, there are signs, right? And talk about anxiety. There are signs that say no mobile reception for the next 650 kilometres. Now that'll throw you in a spin.
Welcome to
wouldn't it?
1980s.
Yeah. So this place is the last stop in Queensland before you then travel 50 kilometres towards the Northern Territory border, and it's called, wait for it, Hell's Gate.
Nice, like it.
Now,
I'm assuming like there's a roadhouse there or something
there's
like
a
that.
roadhouse and a motel. If I'm going to own a roadhouse and a motel, like in the middle of freaking nowhere, I'm going to call it Hell's Gate, right? Because what else do you call it?
Wow. And does she have she needs to get a guy who dresses up like the Jarrett or whatever his name is from Hell's Creek.
Oh, yeah.
Wolf Creek.
Wolf Creek, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a good idea.
Just to walk around the car park and welcome
How you
people.
going? Welcome to Hell's Gate Roadhouse.
Sensational.
Oh no!
Okay, so she needed help with a website.
I fixed it. Now I'm not advocating that I can actually help people with their websites. Please don't call. I really don't like doing websites, but I just could not resist because I thought to myself, what does this look like? What does Hell's Gate really look like? It's not a bad place to visit, actually. Hell's not that bad after all. Yeah. I was kind of thinking that'd be a nice trip up there. But there's literally nothing. There's literally nothing around that whole area. Like you've got that, and then you've got miles and miles and miles of absolute nothingness. How big is Australia, really?
Sounds like heaven to me, if you ask me.
Your idea of heaven?
Oh, give me any space with lots of space and very few people, and I'm happy.
Yeah, but see, it's kind of like it's in the middle of nowhere. There's
yeah.
But in saying that, so I lived for a couple of years in the Northern Territory, and in the middle of nowhere, in a little place called Jabiru. And as kids, we made our own fun, and we got to do things like light plane flights over the tablelands, and it was amazing. They're the things you remember as a kid, right?
Yeah, right. And it's one of those places where there's red dust everywhere as well.
Everywhere.
It's that real Australian, what do they call it, bull dust.
Yeah.
It just gets in everything.
Yeah. In fact, the Cold Chisel song "Flame Trees," it's actually talking about you think it's talking about the plant, the flame tree plant.
Yes, yeah, the flame
but
tree,
it's
like
not.
the Illawarra flame tree.
It's not. What it's talking about is the lights from the trucks going through, like as it goes on dusk, right? Going through that red dust, and it looks like trees of flame in the distance.
Yeah, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's what you see. That's all you see. And the trucks, the B doubles. No, there's more than that.
Yeah.
They have got trailer after trailer after trailer. They're like trains.
Oh, yeah, they're the big road trains.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen them on the Nullarbor and stuff like that as well, where they run, I don't know, 3 or 4 full trailers.
Yeah.
Sometimes up to 6 from what I understand.
Yeah. I reckon it'd be amazing to grab a 4-wheel drive and just go driving around, the whole the areas of Australia, like the Kimberleys and the Nullarbor and the places that you just never would see,
I agree. It's definitely on my bucket list with, things to do. Michelle and I definitely want to do it, whether it's like a 4-wheel drive with a camper on the back or whether it's like a motorhome. I said to her, I need one of those motorhomes where you have then the Porsche that parks in underneath. So when you stop somewhere, you can take your Porsche out for a bit of a drive and, all that sort of stuff. That's, one of those big 44-seater buses that have all been converted into a thing. It has, spa bath and, massage room and all the rest of it. It's my idea of camping.
Oh, there you go. It's not my idea of fun, but, whatever. I'd like to glamp, thanks very much.
Yeah, look, right. Give me 5-star camping any day.
That's right. So anyway, big shout out to the Hell's Gate Roadhouse, and I figured that everyone out there is. You don't go there just because you want to. Well, actually, you would, wouldn't you? You'd go there just because you want to. You wouldn't go there out of necessity to live in a place like that. You've got to really love it, right?
I'm sure the list of things to do isn't extensive enough for you to really want to plan a week there or anything, but what do I know?
Be a bit of drinking going on, I reckon.
I'm sure it's beautiful. Oh, yeah.
Well, we'll be back with the wrap-up right after this.
You ever been cruising down the main street with your mates only to be laughed at by the gorgeous girls passing you by? Well, maybe you need to get your own ride and leave your mum's Camry at home. Turning your cruising dreams into a reality has never been easier than it is now with Iconic Motorhouse. Regular draws, limited numbers, and access to special and unique deals from over 4,500 popular brands. They don't do Camrys, they only give away real men's cars, eye-catching cars that'll get them purring like a pussycat. So don't be a turkey. Go to iconicmotorhouse.com, choose how many tickets you want, and for a limited time, they'll increase your odds. It's never been easier to win a customised showpiece that will get their attention. iconicmotorhouse.com, giving you the opportunity to fulfill your motoring fantasy.
This is the Bad Boys Podcast.
Welcome back to the Bad Boys Podcast. And, mate, I understand there's a bit of exciting news coming from your camp in the woods there.
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
There is. Super excited because yesterday I became a grandfather.
Wow, that is awesome. And now for all of the ladies out there that think that Shane's dulcet tones are that of a young 30-year-old, he's not. He's not. He's old enough to be a grandfather, absolutely. But that's exciting news, mate. That's really
cool. So my little granddaughter was born yesterday, Hadley Jade Holman, and born on the 21st. So when you hear this, it was a couple of days later, and super cute. So so there you go. I'm a grandfather, and Tanya's a grandmother, and big congratulations to my daughter Taylor and her partner Wade. Just amazing that it's all happened, and I can't wait to actually see her.
That is so awesome, mate.
Over the moon. We're all over the moon. Yeah.
And look, I bet you all are as well. My my boys are still a little young for that, thank God. But the best thing about grandchildren, of course, is you can hand them back.
Yeah. Well, I haven't even been able to hold it yet, so
sure,
I'm miles away. So now, just to finish the show, I know we came in sort of hitting hard out of the gate at the start of the show. Well, we're going to hit probably even harder at the end of the show. Literally.
As it turns out, yeah.
So earlier this week, I don't know about you, I was shocked by a video that emerged from a Western Australian shopping centre, and it featured 2 women fighting. Now, I had to watch the video a couple of times, right? Because the fight that occurred, right? One woman cracked the other woman so loud you could hear it on the video. Like she just pummeled her.
Wow.
Now, they weren't fighting because they were drunk or because someone stole something or even because, mean words were exchanged. They were fighting because...
Yeah, so nobody shacked up with someone else's
No, it wasn't anything like that.
Right.
It wasn't anything like that. She was fighting. They were fighting because one person wasn't wearing a mask.
Oh, God, Jesus.
Now, okay. I've just got to say.
They were in a nail salon, weren't they?
They were in a nail salon. One lady turned around and said, "Where's your mask? Put your mask on."
I was about to say, just to fill everybody in, WA still has mask mandates.
Yes, they do.
The rest of Australia doesn't, but WA was always caught up in the Dark Ages.
Yes, they do. That's exactly right. and so the other woman said, "No, I'm not putting on my fucking mask." And then she cracked her. The woman without a mask smacked the woman with the mask in the jaw. I'm gobsmacked. Now, the problem is that it's not an issue of who is right or wrong with this. The reality is that the mask, the vaccination, all of those issues have become an apartheid issue in Australia now and elsewhere in the world. It's just another thing that is causing separation and isolation between families and friends. Leads to mental health issues, sadness, depression, and obviously violence. And I just feel like we need to all take a step back here and actually think about what we're doing, because this is not taking care of one another and looking out for one another, is it? This is us being pig-headed, obnoxious, and self-centered.
See, this is the funny thing. You see these videos all the time of these. They call them Karens.
Yeah.
Whether they're male or female now. But, basically they are busybody, sticking their nose in other people's business type of people, and they speak up and say the bit and make demands, like people, I don't know, stopping someone saying, "What's your name? Where do you live? What are you doing here?" And it's like, you know what, mate, it's none of your fucking business.
Yeah.
It just simply is none of your business. You've got no right to ask me that, and I'm sure as hell not going to tell you. And it'll, I'm going to call the police. Well, then call the police, mate. Like, see if we give a shit. See, back in the 80s, back in the 70s when we grew up, if someone did that to you or said that to you, you'd punch them in the face.
Right.
You'd sort it out the old way.
All right. Now, okay, there was another incident that happened. and before we advocate punching someone in the face, right? Which we're not,
sure.
Right? And yeah, I know there's this whole harden the fuck up and seriously, right? Like whose fault was that happened with the mask? Whose fault was it, really? Was it the lady who said,
"Yeah, well,
put your mask on"? I don't know.
No, I don't think so. Look, yes, we get sick and tired of complete strangers trying to tell us what to do. They're not the mask police. I mean, the woman who had the mask on and was asking for the other lady, she's got a immune compromised system, and she's got family with immune compromised
and
systems.
several broken teeth now as well.
So you can see the logic in her mind going on it, right? But look, literally just going hell for leather, punching a woman because she asked you to put a mask on. Look, really, that's just not on at all, as far as I'm concerned. However, having said that, there was an incident on a plane, and Mike Tyson, ex-world champion boxer, won 50 out of 58 fights he ever did on the world stage, one of the most successful boxers of all time, was sitting on a plane. There was a guy sitting behind him who apparently was drunk and wouldn't shut up, was constantly badgering Mike Tyson. And Mike Tyson apparently asked him several times to, shut up, leave me alone. I'm not interested, mate. Let it go. Be quiet. And the guy just would not stop. And so sure enough, Mike Tyson turned around, kneeled up on his seat with his, his belly to the back of his seat and beat the shit out of this guy. Gave him a good old form of, call it mafia justice.
Now,
so the question then is, who's in the wrong and who's in the right there as well? Because, yes, look, Mike perhaps shouldn't have hit the guy. He should have, called the hostie and said, look, this guy's giving me a hard time. Can you shut him up? But when you ask someone nicely several times,
yeah, but, okay, all right,
and they still carry on and perpetuate.
My view is that someone like Mike Tyson, his hands, right? His hands are lethal weapons. Let's be honest, right? They should be sure. registered, right, as weapons of destruction, because the guy can punch with the force like no one else on the planet, right? Now,
right.
That should be
now to any normal, common thinking person, to any smart person, if you know the guy, which the guy obviously did, he knew it was Mike Tyson, you would know that he would be able to club you like a semi-trailer. Now, any smart person then wouldn't poke the bear.
But he was drunk, right?
Hey, mate, I've been drunk a lot of times. Mostly it's ended up with a beer box on my head while I run naked through the street. That's a very different thing. I'm a happy drunk. I'm not an annoying drunk.
I know. But this guy was obviously an annoying drunk.
I have a very different viewpoint on that. But look, yeah, what an idiot
he
goes
was drunk.
toe-to-toe with Mike Tyson.
He thought he was 10 foot tall and bulletproof, right? Thought that he could take on Mike Tyson anytime. Look, come on, give it to me, come on.
Yeah.
Seriously, mate, you're a wanker. But then so is Mike Tyson, seriously.
Yeah, look, he should know better, and he shouldn't have lost his shit.
He should know better. And
he shouldn't have lost his shit, absolutely. Just like that bloody brawling bloody bogan in a nail salon, punching the shit out of a woman just because she asked you to put on a mask. I mean, come on, grow up, will you?
But see, you don't know what the woman that lashed out, right? You don't know what she's been going through and what the lead up of her walking into that salon was.
Yeah, but it's still no excuse.
I know it's no excuse. So the thing is, why start this whole conversation in the first place? Why get angry about someone not wearing a mask? If you're immune compromised, okay, all right, let's just pretend, right, in an ideal world that the mask actually does stop you from getting anything, because we all know it doesn't, right?
Yeah,
so let's just pretend, right? Let's live in a fantasy world. If that woman who is immune compromised is wearing a mask, then does it matter if the woman that is wandering around without a mask? No, it doesn't. Not at all.
Probably not.
Because two masks is not going to stop it. If one mask won't. I just don't understand the logic of it. She should have just shut her mouth and just not said a thing.
Right. Yeah, I reckon she should have. You know what it is? What actually drives all of this? It's this whole thing in society, and the government, the press, the media, everyone has perpetuated and turned the volume up tenfold.
Yeah.
It's this, there is a rule, I'm doing the right thing, why aren't you?
Yeah. It's fear. But it's fear. The media perpetuates fear.
But it's also this whole elitist thing. I'm doing the right thing. I'm a good guy. Why aren't you doing the right thing? You need to do the right thing. You need to behave. You need to follow the rules and all that sort of stuff. You know what? If someone came at me like that, I'd be telling them to fuck off and mind their own business.
Yeah, but see, I
will decide which rules I follow and which rules I don't.
Okay, but it's the same thing, and I'm not going to draw comparisons with Nazi Germany in this, right? But it's the same thing. Why people, succumbed to Hitler and his crazy regime, right, was simply because they felt that they were doing the right thing. I'm doing the right thing by society and by the government.
Right.
So you should be doing the right thing too.
Right. And the people that follow the Liberals or the Democrats in America think they're doing the right thing, as do the people who follow the Republicans. Mm. I learned from quite a young age, just because the government says something, one, doesn't mean it's true. Yeah. Two, doesn't mean it's right.
Yeah.
And if I have some stranger in the street coming on, which rules do we follow?
Yeah, exactly.
The Catholics had been telling us we shouldn't even use condoms. The Catholics have been telling us, in fact, the Pope came out recently and said that people who only have one child are selfish and they shouldn't get pets. They should have more children. Like, really, whose rules do you believe?
Yeah.
The one who's the loudest, the one who has the ability to make the rules and put them onto paper?
Yeah.
Like, I just,
I don't get it.
I don't get it either. I don't get it. You know what? There's this old saying, good people break bad laws.
Yep,
and I reckon I stand by that 500%.
That's true, but also, here we are, you and I and Bad Boys Podcast, we're about, looking at things and giving our view, but we also look at the lighter side of life as well. And I feel like we should all just, I know it might sound a bit corny, but the old don't worry, be happy. There's a lot of truth in that, It's like, don't worry, have another beer.
Right.
She'll be right.
You know what? It was like the other day when I walked into a nail salon and let a fart rip, right? Right? Walked into the nail salon, let a fart rip. Not one person in that nail salon said to me, why aren't you wearing pants? Not one fucking person.
But were you wearing a mask?
Thought I was a complete nutter.
You were wearing a mask though, right?
Yeah, well, sure, of course, but it's just, you're right. We got to look at life and have a bit of a laugh and everything like that, rather than just punching someone because they have the audacity to open their mouth. And on the flip side of that, sometimes people who just run their mouths all the time, they need to sit back and think about the consequences. Every choice has a consequence.
It does,
right? You keep running your mouth all the time, eventually someone's going to put something in it. Eventually.
Probably going to be the fist.
Someone will.
Exactly.
Right. You just have to be stupid enough to make sure that person's Mike Tyson. I mean, really.
Now, speaking of the lighter side of life, make sure you head over to our Facebook page where we're putting up a whole bunch of videos and clips and things from our previous episodes. And Andrew's been editing like a maniac for Instagram, Facebook, TikTok.
Hey, what's our TikTok follower numbers? I know everybody's sitting on the edge of their seat to know where our numbers are at.
All right. I'm looking it up as we speak. TikTok, Bad Boys Podcast. It's gone up. Well, our followers haven't gone up, but our likes have gone up.
Oh wow.
We're at five.
So how many followers?
5 likes now with 1 follower.
Oh wow.
Wow.
And just so everybody's, it's not me, okay? I don't even have TikTok.
Now head over to.
And how
TikTok.
many videos we got up there now?
We got 7 videos. There'll be another 3 over the weekend. It's going to be 10 videos. They are very funny. The celebrity sausages.
I don't know why we don't have millions.
I know.
Yet. I just don't know.
I know. No.
There must be something wrong with the algorithm.
So if you want to find us on TikTok, go to @TheBadBoysPodcast. @TheBadBoysPodcast. Don't go to Bad Boys Podcast because that's some American guy. Just ignore that. Yeah, he's not very funny. We're funny. No. So jump on ours. And
that's fun.
Also on Facebook and Instagram, it is official Bad Boys Podcast. And
of course, if you want to catch some great music without any of the bullshit, go to badboysfm.com. There are some hot shots that play, but mostly it's music. badboysfm.com. The banner at the top is the radio player, but you can check out some episodes. You can, even watch some of our videos at badboysfm.com. Music with attitude.
Now make sure you tune in on Wednesday for the brand new episode that's coming out. We are interviewing Mr. Gavin Wood, the voice of Countdown, and he was also on Hey Hey. We're going to get him to dish all the dirt. It's going to be great.
Absolutely. It's going to be a great chat.
Excellent episode. So make sure you join us. See you later.
Take it easy.
Press plus or follow to hear more great episodes from the Bad Boys. Or check us out on our social media @Official Bad Boys Podcast on both Facebook and Instagram.
Bad